What do you mean the bank is out of money? Insolvent?
Guys, I find it very interesting that mainstream media is refusing to cover this huge story in France. Furious Yellow Vests are preparing to withdraw all their euros in a massive run on French banks as violent protests spill over to Britain. Yellow Vest activists are urging French citizens to empty their bank accounts and spark a massive run on the country's banks in their long-standing fight with the government, which could potentially lead to the collapse of its Rothschild's banking system. And that would be something to see. This call for French citizens to withdraw all their euros come as copycat protests are planned for Britain this weekend. The left-wing People's Assembly activist group has invited thousands of people to wear yellow vests at an anti-austerity Britain is broke march in central London this weekend. The group, which is demanding a general election to end the ruling Conservatives' program of austerity, wrote on Facebook, "See you on the streets and don't forget your yellow vests." Meanwhile, right-wing Brexit-supporting activists have signaled their intent to hold demonstrations in British cities, including the capital, under the banner Yellow Vest UK. Protesters hope the move will force the government to listen to their demands, notably their call for more direct democracy through the implementation of popular votes that allow citizens to propose new laws. Now guys, remember, democracy, which is always hailed as some virtuous form of government, as if there could ever be such a thing, is a majority rule scenario, which works against, not for, individual liberties. Activist Maxime Nicole called it the tax collector's referendum. In a video message, Nicole said, "We're going to get our bread back. You're making money with our dough, and we're fed up."
You only have enough cash for the next 3 customers!
Here's the deal. If a bank run succeeds, the yellow vest could cause a complete failure of France's banking system. Unlike Australia, France operates on a fractional reserve system, meaning that their banking system holds a fraction of the money that's deposited by customers. The rest is used to make loans and create new so-called money, which are just banknotes. A bank run is a situation that arises when a financial institution's customers withdraw all their deposits simultaneously or within a short succession out of fear for the bank's solvency, or the bank's ability to meet its long-term fixed expenses. Essentially, it's the banking customer's fear of losing their money and distrust in the sustainability of the bank's business that leads to a massive withdrawal of assets. To gain a better understanding of what occurs during a bank run and its implications, people have to understand how banking institutions and customer deposits work. When you deposit funny money, also known as banknotes, into a bank, you generally make that deposit into a demand deposit account like a checking account. With a demand deposit account, you have the right to take your money out of the account on demand, that is, at any time. In a fractional reserve banking system, though, the bank is not required to keep all the money in demand deposit accounts stored as cash in a vault. Matter of fact, most banking institutions only keep a small portion of their assets in cash at any time. Instead, they take that money and give it out in the form of loans or otherwise invest it in other interest-paying assets. While banks are required by law to have a minimum level of deposits on hand, known as a reserve requirement, those requirements are generally really low as compared to their total deposits, typically operating in the range of 10%. So at any given time, a bank can only pay out a small fraction of the deposits of its customers on demand. By the way, there's another term you could use for fractional reserve banking. It's called a Ponzi scheme, where there's not enough available cash for all participants at any given time. This system of demand deposits works really well unless a large number of people demand to take their money out of the bank at the same time and over the reserve limit. The risk of this kind of thing happening is typically small, and that's why the bankers bet on this. Unless there's a reason for banking customers to believe that their money is no longer safe in the bank. Suffice it to say that bank runs can be economically disastrous and serves to highlight the fact that the Federal Reserve banking cartel is operating on a foundation of unbridled, unprincipled immorality. If banks were legitimate businesses holding all assets for every customer at all times, there wouldn't be a problem. If every customer who deposited any amount today could all withdraw their cash tomorrow without a problem, you would have an honest business with honest business practices. But since everyone can't withdraw all their deposits at the same time without the bank declaring a bank holiday and closing its doors, you have just revealed a dishonest business with dishonest practices. The people have successfully revealed a dishonest business with dishonest practices. In this case, the country's banks are believed to have about a quarter of the cash needed to weather a bank run. If reports are true in saying that 70% of the population plans to withdraw all their euros, it means that more than 46 million people will be directly revolting against the system. This could lead to a systemic banking crisis in the country where almost all the banking capital is wiped out. So how could this affect the economy? France has the 7th largest economy in the world and the 2nd largest in Europe, valued at 2.58 trillion US dollars according to World Bank data. It relies heavily on tourism and agriculture to sustain this, and it boasts being the most visited country in the world. If the bank run leads to a widespread financial crisis, it could result in a long economic recession for businesses and consumers who don't have enough money. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, much of the economic damage was caused by bank runs. A bank run like the one being promoted in France right now could potentially paralyze the country's economy and lead to a collapse in the euro. It's really going to be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. Leave your thoughts about this possible bank run for the world, the Google Thought Police, and the criminals in the Rothschild's banking cartel in the comments section below. If you enjoyed my content, subscribe to this main channel, my backup channel, High Impact Vlogs, my backup to the backup channel, High Impact TV, and my BitChute and Gab channels. And don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. All these links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.